Welcome back to Dajiban life. I know it's been a while. I was looking to maybe not do the van life, but I needed to get something fixed. So this is what I've been working on. It's a 1991 Honda Accord. 26,000 and some change miles on it. Yeah, so there you go. 26,000 miles. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. So yeah, I've been spending a lot of time the past couple months, really, since the last time I posted, basically working on this guy, getting it up. I don't know if you've watched my other videos, but it was basically stripped down to the shell and I rebuilt it pretty much from the ground up. So has a whole new suspension. The engine's pretty much the same because of the low mileage, but I did improve on it. Since this is a Dajiban channel, I'll quit boring you with this and go back to the Dajiban. Alright, so here we are back at the van, and the reason I'm deciding to post again and make this video is because my alignment is way out of whack. I guess I always knew that, but I think the toe is fine. I think I got that dialed in, but when I lowered it, I didn't really measure the camber, and so you can see from the tire here that this obviously has very positive camber because the outside edge is worn way more than the inside. Like the inside looks brand new basically, but the outside is worn. That means the wheel is cambered positively. So negative camber would be like this, where it's pointing towards the body of the car, the top of the tire, and then positive camber would be the opposite, where the tire is sort of sticking out, the top is sticking out, and the bottom is contacting the pavement. So an easy way to measure that, but it's not very accurate, is to take like a 2x4, something like this, set it up against the tire, and then I downloaded an app, an angle finder on my phone, and measure it that way. As you can see on this side, I actually rotated the tire on the back to the front, so this tire looks fine here right now because I just did that not that long ago. But according to the wear, yeah, it looks like it's starting to creep up onto the edge here. And I rotated the front tire to the back here, and you can see there's like some cords sticking through here, which isn't good. I'm hoping that when I put them on the back, because the back has no camber, it should be technically zero because it's on a solid axle. So the tire should be theoretically straight up and down, unless something warped in the axle or something. But looking at the tire wear of what used to be the rear tire over there, it looks fine. So the camber is perfect. So I'm hoping I can get a little bit more life out of these tires by rotating them to the back and then fixing the camber in the front. And another thing that happened was that someone tried to cut through my cat here, trying to steal my cat. A few nights ago, actually, I was sleeping and I heard some weird like buzzing noises, and so I woke up, and then I could tell immediately it was a sawzall. And so I climbed to the front, tried honking the horn. It was probably too loud under here, so the guy didn't really hear me honking. So I just started the engine up, and he popped out real quick. I saw him in my rear view just pop out. I mean, he almost cut all the way through. It's about 95% through. So I gotta weld that back up. So I'll do that. Alright, so here's an angle thing app that I found on my phone for free. Then what you do is you take this 2x4, and normally you want to put it on the wheel, on the rim, but as you can see, my tires are fatter than the rim. They stick out a little bit, so I can't really get it on the wheel. So this is not going to be super accurate because of the placement, but it'll give me a rough idea of where I'm at. Let's see if I can do this. And you can see it's 89 degrees. Hopefully you can see that. If not, then just trust me, it says 89. And so if you sort of move this around, this actually says I have negative camber on this side, which I know is not true because the tire wear was on the outer edge. So this side should have positive camber as well, but sometimes it reads 90, sometimes it reads 89. Trying to do it on different places on the tire so I get the most like average reading. Looks mostly like 89. Yeah, and the reason I never fixed it when I first did this was basically when I lowered the van, the suspension kind of needs to settle before you really mess with the alignment too much. Like it should settle for at least like 100 miles or something, just to kind of work out all the, you know, different things. And at the end of the 100 miles, I never revisited it. I figured, whatever. Because when I first got the van at stock height, I could see that the tires were a little positively cambered, maybe by 2 or 3 degrees. And I figured lowering it would sort of fix that. Because normally when your car goes lower, the control arms go higher up in the body. And then that will cause the wheel to sort of, because it's on a pendulum, I guess, if you want to call it that, or it swings. It's in a semicircle basically. So when the body comes down or the wheels go up into the body, you normally get negative camber, because instead of sitting like this, now it's sitting like something like this because it swung up, you know what I mean? So I figured, you know, it should fix it or whatever, but obviously it didn't. So now I'm having to fix it manually. So here, according to the handy dandy service manual, which has seen better days, it says here that the preferred camber is 0 degrees plus or minus 0.6 degrees. So being at 2 or 1 or even 2 is way over the maximum range. So I'm gonna try to get it back to 0 as much as possible. I don't know how possible that'll be, because I'll be guessing most of the time. Here they have some kind of a special tool, but basically how you align the thing is that the upper control arm here, I guess that's what that's called, upper control arm. Yeah, where the ball joint, the upper ball joint sits, that thing can be adjusted. So basically there's 2 bolts in the back, as you can see, it's labeled number 1 there. And I think the caster is fine. It's really hard to measure that as well, because you'd have to measure the angle of your spindle arm and from ball joint to ball joint. And especially when it's not loaded, it's hard to really know exactly, you know, what that angle is. So I'm not gonna really mess with the caster. I never really had a problem with turning, and the wheels look like they're centered in the wheel wells, so I'm okay with that. But for the camber, I don't, this says 3 and 4, so number 4 would be plus camber. So 4 is this direction. So what is that, the z-axis? So if this is x and this is y, then this would be the z-axis. And moving this arm left to right would change your caster, which makes sense, right? Because it's changing the angle of your spindle. And then moving the control arm in and out, or closer to the body or away from the body, controls the camber, which makes sense because it changes, you know, like this angle here of the spindle, whether it's sitting more this way or this way. I don't know if you guys can see, my fingers aren't really doing a good job of it. But I believe, let's see, camber, move the forward position of the pivot bar in or out. This will change the camber angle significantly and caster angle only slightly. The camber angle should be adjusted to service specifications, blah blah blah. So I guess I'll show you guys more of this once we're actually in the wheel well, once I get everything apart. Alright, so here we are with the wheel off, and that's it. Looking at this, there are grooves that it slides back and forth on that I remember seeing, and I don't think they're maxed out. So basically, to get more negative camber, I would have to push this arm back, because that'll angle the rotor inwards. You see what I'm saying? Because right now, since it's positive, it's angled outwards. So if I move the arm back, it'll angle it inwards. And I'm trying to figure out what the best way of doing this is. I think ideally you'd want to undo the upper ball joint right at the spindle, have this swing out, and then adjust the arm and then reattach the spindle. But I'm kind of lazy and I don't want to do that. I want to keep everything the way that it is and just move the arm back. So I think I'm gonna do this the lazy way, and I have a jack here, and what I'm gonna do is, using this bottle jack, I'm gonna jack up this entire arm assembly up, right? So that it's more, not that it's taking the load, but it'll take some of the load off of here. So then hopefully I can just adjust this. I don't know if that's gonna work. I actually think that it might not, because there's a lot of tension from the spring, which all of this stuff looks great, by the way. The spring, the shock, all the ball joints, they look good. All the strut bar assembly looks good. I got some grease coming out of here, out of the tie rod, but that tie rod still looks good. And while I'm in here, I'm gonna grease the upper ball joint. I got my grease gun here. I'll go ahead and do that. But I think if I just raise this arm assembly up, right, then it should loosen the tension on this upper control arm, right? Because this whole thing comes up, no more tension, and then I can just slide this thing back a little bit, and then should be fixed, right? All right, so my method worked. Basically, I have a jack here jacking up the suspension to relieve pressure off of the upper control arm, and I've loosened the pivot bolts, I guess they're called, according to the manual, and I can't really see down in there, but basically I marked where the original position was, and I'm pushing it back about 1/4 of an inch, just kind of based on how the spindle's moving when I move this guy around. I think 1/4 of an inch will probably be overkill, but I would rather have negative camber than positive camber, because at least with negative camber, even though I'll be getting my inside tire edge worn out, it'll be better handling. So positive camber, basically there's no benefits to having positive camber at all. So it's negative or zero. Zero is probably your best bet for even tire wear and the best handling characteristics. Negative camber will tuck the tire into the fender more. So if you're really low, negative camber will help you get your tires inside your fender. But it also is kind of like having a 3-point stance, or not a 3-point, but having your legs like this versus just straight up and down. You're more stable like this, so definitely that should help. And then if I overshoot it, I'll drive around for like 10,000 miles, see what the tire wear looks like, and then adjust accordingly after that. So yeah, let me go ahead and do that since you can't really see what I'm doing here. I guess that's a better view, but basically you loosen these and then you just move this in and out. And yep, like you see here, it just moved. So I have marks on here, so then I'll just kind of move those marks back a little bit and then retighten and then put the wheel back on, and I guess hope for the best, basically. Because I don't really have a way of measuring my camber very accurately. I don't have like a laser system, alignment system or anything. Alright, so let's see how this shit show went. Hopefully you guys are able to see this, because I can't tell if you can or not. Yeah, I think you kind of can. So here we go. Take the measurement here. This is obviously without any settling, just from the adjustment. I don't know if you can see that, but it now says, oh crap, 92, 91, 92. Okay, so we'll roll with that. 91 to 92. So it says I'm getting 91 to 92, where before I was getting, I think, 90, I believe. So I adjusted it by 1 to 2 degrees, basically, positively. So since I moved the arm inwards, I'm assuming that 1 or 2 degrees was made with the top of the tire pointing that way, or going in. And I think also the readings might be affected by the slope on the ground, because I'm not on exactly level ground, because as you get towards the curb, the middle of the street is higher than the side of the street for drainage, right? And so since this tire is closer here, I might be getting weirder readings, but since my original readings were at 90-ish, and now they're around 91, 92, supposedly, like it jumps around, but that's kind of the reading I'm getting. That means I've adjusted it by about 1 or 2 degrees. So that should be good, because I think I was, I'm guessing I was about 1 or 2 degrees positive on this side, and probably 2 to 3 degrees positive on that side. So if I'm able to move it back 2 degrees, it should cancel out pretty much and be within sort of an acceptable area. It's not exact science right now, because obviously I don't have the tools, but let me go ahead and do the other side, and then yeah. Alright, so got this side done, and it definitely feels a lot more stable, just more planted. Obviously, when you have positive camber, it's like walking on your outside of your feet. So you're more prone to roll your ankle that way. So it kind of felt that way driving as well, but now it feels more planted. All right, so that's basically how you measure and adjust your camber. Hopefully that was helpful. If not, then yeah, I don't know what to tell you. It's probably best to go to an alignment shop that will take your van, but I went to a couple of alignment shops around in my area, and none of them would take me, basically because the van was too low to fit onto their alignment racks. And then although some of them, it doesn't seem like it would be too low. I don't know, people are kind of alignment places just don't really want to deal with a lower vehicle for the most part, unless it's like a sedan or something, like something pretty common like a Civic or whatever, a Rice Rocket kind of car, because those are easier to adjust. But this van, it is a little bit harder, and most people don't know how to work on these, I found out. And they don't have a manual, so a lot of them will refuse to work on it, or some of them just really won't do anything. I went to one place that they basically printed me out a copy of the readings, the alignment, the readings, and they didn't change anything, and they charged me 150 bucks for that. And they're like, oh yeah, this van is not adjustable. And I'm like, really? The camber's not adjustable? And they're like, yeah, no. And I was like, I have the manual. If you want me to bring it out here, I can show it to you. And they're like, yeah, well, we're just not going to do it. And I was like, what the hell, And so I didn't really want to like get into a whole argument and spend an hour there arguing with these people who are obviously really stupid. So I just was like, whatever. And I just paid basically for a printout of the alignment readings. But I guess I should have stayed and argued with them a little bit, but I was busy that day. I had other stuff to do, so I figured whatever, I'll just do it myself. And then I was basically relying on the tire wear to determine whether or not how to adjust the alignment, and I just let that go for a little bit too long. So it's really my bad. It's on me. So yeah, I'm still in the van. It's been treating me really good, and nothing really is wrong with it other than the attempted break-in. Someone broke this window, which I replaced from my old van that I still have. And then someone tried to cut through my catalytic converter, as you saw me welding up, which is, welded, somewhat well. It still leaks a little bit here and there, but, whatever, it's fine. It's better than having it cut almost all the way through. Mechanically, the van is working great, other than the big dent in the back from being rear-ended. There's just one thing after another, man. Just a lot of bad luck lately. But yeah, I've still been in the van because the big plan was, the whole reason why I decided to live van life was to save up money to buy a house. That was my big plan. But as you guys probably know, within the last 2 years since the pandemic, basically, like, home prices have basically like almost tripled or doubled at least in a lot of places, and especially in my area, they've definitely doubled, bare minimum, and some places have tripled, honestly. And so that plan is sort of out the window, but it does look like things might be slowing down soon, because the Fed's raising interest rates. I don't know how much of the financial stuff you guys pay attention to, but I pay attention to it. And basically it looks like there might be an opportunity for me. So my plan now is to hang on as long as I can and just wait it out, as till the last minute, basically, in the van, and save more money and look at some opportunities, whatever I can get. See if any, the housing market falls a little bit or interest rates go down a little bit. It doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. Maybe next year, maybe a couple years from now. But again, playing the kind of wait and see game. And at the worst case scenario, I could probably just get an apartment or rent a house or something with some land so I can park my cars there. So basically, I'm just going to kind of seeing how things pan out and just waiting out this whatever's happening in the economy as a whole. Other than that, I don't really have a whole lot more content to film, so I might go silent again for a while. I don't know, I might have some more stuff. I thought about fixing the van, the rear end, and I took a closer look at it. I'll know more once I get the bumper off, but that quarter panel, or the rear, where the rear doors are, the left side that got hit, it's pretty bad. Like, the metal's folded in over itself, and that metal is really strong, like way thicker than just, because it's the body of the van. And so I don't know if I'll be able to straighten that out. I would probably have to take it to a body shop, and I'm guessing they're going to tell me that they're going to have to cut that section out and just basically replace it, which I have my old van still, which I could cut out that section so that they could just weld it back in. So I might do that, but you know, it's kind of not worth it in a way, but maybe it might be, I don't know, we'll see. So I'll definitely make a video about that if I end up doing that. But for now, I'm just gonna use it, you know, the van the way that it is. It's pretty ugly, but whatever, it works, you know what I mean? And that's all that really matters. And then I'm looking at fixing my truck. I don't know if you guys don't know, I also have a truck that's not working right now because it spun a rod bearing because it was leaking oil, which I didn't know about. And I went to go drive it one day without checking the oil, which is dumb. I should have checked the oil first, but I didn't check it. I figured, you know, it's fine, but apparently there was an oil leak and all the oil had leaked out because it's been sitting for a while. And then when I went to drive it, it spun a rod bearing, and now it's doing a big, there's a large, really loud clacking noise inside the engine, which is not good. So I'm basically gonna replace the engine. I'm gonna fix that so I can make a video series about that. It's not really gonna be about a Dajiban, but you know, if you guys want to see that, it's a Ford Ranger. Let me know, and then I might just make the series anyway, and just document rebuilding basically the Ford Ranger from the ground up. I'm just gonna strip it down to basically the shell and build it all the way back up, just like I did with the other car that I showed you, the Honda, which I didn't really film that much of. There's like a little bit of it on my channel, but not too much, just because I wanted to get that done and out of the way. But the truck, I'll have a little bit more time. And it's a lot simpler. There's not, you know, obviously there's just the truck bed, which is like half the car, which there's nothing to do there other than maybe bed lining the bed, and I don't know, it's dented, the bed's also messed up, so I might straighten that out or some body work, but other than that, it's not a whole lot. And then there's just the cab, which is very small, so there's not a whole lot of work to do. And the theme of that truck would just be like bare bones, just get it, you know, running. I'd probably lower it just for fun. Because, you know, the low life chose me. I didn't choose the low life, it chose me. So, you know, obviously the truck would have to be lowered. And so if you want to see me, you know, tackle that project, which I'm going to do anyway, but if you want to watch me do it, then let me know and I'll make videos about that. So at least there's some content. But as far as Dajiban wise, if I were to work on this thing, I would probably finish sound deadening the rest of it, because I didn't get around to finishing that. I only did the back half. And so I would do that and then maybe do a headliner or something. And then maybe extend the roof rack in the back out so that it's not just solar panels. I would have an actual like usable roof rack in the back, which I probably wouldn't put anything up there. It's mostly just for shade because the solar panels shade the front really well, but the back is uncovered, right? And so, in the bed's back there. So when I sleep in the morning, when the sun comes out and it starts shining down on my black, you know, brilliantly black roof top, which absorbs all the light, it gets really hot. And the heat will radiate from the roof, and then that'll wake me up pretty early too, probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning is when it gets hot enough to feel. And then, you know, you'd be surprised how sensitive you are to changes in like heat, radiation, or whatever. I'd also replace this window with the one that's tinted because my old van had tint on it. So when those guys broke my window, I actually replaced the clear window with one with tint. So eventually I want to have tint on this window as well, but instead of tinting, I might just replace the window because it's actually not that hard. And I can make a video about that because replacing the glass on these vans is pretty easy, I would say. It took me maybe about an hour, and that's only because I had to figure out how it actually goes. But now that I know, it might take me half an hour, I would say. So, you know, replace this window, and then I would sand down the outside and prime it and paint it. But I would need to fix the body damage first and replace the bumper and all that. So yeah, that's basically it for this episode. I don't know when I'll upload another. If you want to see whatever you want to see, just let me know. If you have any topics that you want me to cover, yeah, any questions you want to ask, I'll answer them. Anything like that, it'll be in a video idea. Otherwise, I probably won't make any videos until, you know, I'm doing something else with the van, or until I start working on the truck. But yeah, and that'll just be a separate video series. That's not really has anything to do with Dajiban content. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.